Um, this is your channel developed and produced by Tanzanian Association of Sociologists, and this is your presenter Bituro Pascal Kazeri. Please, before we proceed, we'll please ask you to subscribe, share, and comment on our content. Well, that's the best way of interacting with our audience. Our topic today is the subject matter of sociology. Remember in our previous presentation, we said sociology was a science, a social science, as opposite to the natural science. And every science has got its subject matter, which it studies. And we said sociology is basically a social sciences which focuses on a human society. So, but the human society is made up of several aspects which are of interest to sociologists. So, at the end of our presentation, our viewers will know what are the specific aspects of the society which attracts sociologists to try to understand, describe, and explain them better. We said sociology studies the social phenomena. And a social phenomena is something which is real, and which exists, and which affects, in some way or another, positive or negatively, human beings. Sociology studies social life. And based on the sociologist August Kumuta, who is believed to be the founder of sociology and the father of sociology. Sociology is organismic, that is, it has life. A society is organismic, it has life, it has parts which needed to be understood in order to know how to handle or manage it. So the first subject matter which attracts sociologists to study is the social relation. Social relation, which refers to how individual interacts with another individual, or interacts with a group, which is a collection of individuals, or interact with institution in the course of living. Say, for example, we've got an individual, a husband and a wife, okay, which is the basic individual, because from the biblical and the religious doctrine, we said, okay, there was Adam and Eve. So that's why you say the first social relations is the interaction between individuals. So when an individual interacts, it presents and it gives the sociologist a subject matter to study. So there is only interaction, there is not only the interaction between one individual and another individual, but basically, let's say from the family, we've got a group, we've got a husband and a wife, but later on, so we get to see children comes in, so we see how the relations comes in. So that becomes a very interesting thing to study. Another interaction is between the individual and the group. Let's say the first group is the family. Then we have got the individual and the institution, let's say the neighborhood. We've got interaction between the individual and the other institution, for example, school, the market where we get the things we need for our survival, and things like those. So this brings the first subject matter that human sociologists study. And here we remember one sociologist who was called George Zimmer, a sociologist from a German sociologist who studied extensively the interactions or social relations with between individual and individual, between individual and a group, or between individual and the institutions in the course of reading. Having seen that the first subject matter of sociology is social relations, then we go to another group, another subject matter. The second subject matter is a social group. And what is a group? A group is a collection of more than two individuals, or two individuals or more than two individuals. It's a system which brings made of individuals to achieve or realize a certain goal. It's a family, it has got a responsibility. If you get a group for WhatsApp group, then you know what you are intending to do. But one of the characteristics of the group that it is made up of individuals, and it is larger than an individual, but it doesn't take away the quality of an individual. It doesn't make void, or it doesn't make an individual to stop existing because he is in a group. The member who join a group, any member who join a group, he doesn't lose his identity or his individualism. Although the things which they create a group with norms and the values which exist out of the individual, and it is bigger than the individual. At this point, then at this juncture, the sociologist differs with the psychologist. The psychologist, and that can be explained better by using the arithmetical arrangement. For a sociologist, for a psychologist, 1 + 1 is equal to 2. But for sociologists, 1 + 1 is not necessarily 2. It could be 3, or 4, or 5, or 6. And what does it mean is that the group is always bigger than the totality of all individuals who makes that group. And the group exists outside the member who created it, and at the end it controls the individual who formed that group. And they have then to adhere to the rules and the regulation and the norms which are going to be created pertaining to that group. So that's become a very interesting aspect that sociologists should study. What's the group? How is it formed? What norms and the rules are created? How members are admitted? And how they are regulated? Who has got the power? How is this power shared? And but what remains of an individual? Yes, I'm a member of the group. Do I lose my identity? Or do I lose my individualism? The answer is no, but you're still a member of the group. Then another aspect that sociology studies is, the third one, is social stratification. Stratification is found how the society is arranged in hierarchical order. That there are stratas. Stratification comes from the word stratas. And when we come to stratas, we say we are talking here of the classes. We've got like some simple, we've got the lower, middle, and high classes. We've got the rich, the poor. We've got the educated and the less educated, things like that. Then we have got the status, because then we've got the position and the status, which are related to stratifications. How the hierarchy is arranged, because if you've got a group, then you've got a chairman or a chairperson and the members. So what is the position of a chairperson, and also the responsibility of the members and the position of the members? So this is also very important for sociologists. It's earmarked as a subject matter of sociologists to try to understand. Then we have got the group, how the society is arranged in layers, and who has got the power, and what is the status of that member of group. Then the fourth subject matter which sociologists should study is the social process. And here in the social process, we've got things like cooperation. How do people cooperate? We have got conflict. How do conflict arises, and how the conflict is solved, and like that. We have got competitions. How the competition is how to identify and see how competition takes place in the society between an individual and another individual. We've got issues like assimilations. Assimilation, which is how somebody acquires the culture of another culture. An individual acquires the culture which is not his original culture. We've got accommodations, the issue of accommodation. We've got communication. And lastly, we've got socialization. So this is social processes which takes place in the society. We sometimes don't see them, but they happen. But for sociologists, we have to, that is a subject matter, a very important subject matter, which we have to study. Then we have got culture and the cultural change. Culture is what defines a society, is a totality which explains the entire course of life of an individual. From his creation or her creations to his salvations. How the world is, if it was created, how it becomes into existence, how things are regulated, what is not to be done, what they don't is, and what they do in a certain culture. And every society has got its own culture, and the people have to study. It's one of the society, because every institution, like say if you go to the sociologists have got their own culture which is different from lawyers. Every organization has got its own culture which is different from another organization. So the culture is not related only to a group of individuals, but also to other creation that we have, like the organization, the political parties, the small groups. Each group has got its own culture, and that brings it to sociologists, present it to sociologists, a very important aspect, that object of study. Another matter that sociology studies is social institutions. Social institution, institution created by the society with intention of providing for the needs of the society in order to make the society exist. Without this institution, then society cannot exist. And based on a Comte, Augusto Comte, these social institutions, which are created by individuals, are organismic in nature, that they depend on each other, they create interdependence, and if they fail, then the whole system fails, goes into dysfunction, and it has to be to adapt in order to make the society survive. And here we remember a very known early sociologist, Emily Durkheim, who did extensive research on social institutions. So what social institutions do we have? Sociology has got basic 5 social institutions. Well, now there are, in the postmodern time, there are more institutions which are being considered to be, but the basic 5. I say the basic because we can extend them, but we extend it if we've got the basic. So the basic that we have, that sociologists study as a social institution, is a family. The family is responsible for procreation, creating more individuals, because sociology is interested in human being, individuals. Where the individual comes from, they come from the family through the process of procreations. Then we have got education. Education gives knowledge about the environment required for survival. Because it should not be confused with them. In here it's very easy, because when we go there we can clarify some, the formal and the informal educations, the classroom educations, and the normal daily life educations, which everybody requires and everybody gets according and in accordance to the culture and the environment in which they exist. And this gives important information on how to survive. So here is where we get the sciences, everything, including how we get the medicine, how the medical issues, everything that comes under education. Another social institutions which sociology studies is religions, which is responsible for explaining the origin of the universe, the existence and the belief in a supernatural power. It's responsible for ethical and the order in the society, and how do we achieve the ultimate salvations. Then, and that is also responsible for stability in the, because it deals with ethics, norms, and that's what makes it a very interesting thing to study. Then we've got the economy. The economy is a social institution which is responsible for producing what the human being need in order to survive. If we want to get what we want to survive, then the economy solves that problem. It's how we get what we need in order to survive. That is under the economics. Then another social institution is power and authority. At the levels we have, there's the macro and the macro level, the bigger picture and the small picture. Authority, power and authority is everywhere. It's within an individual, it's within the family, but generally we are talking of the governance and the government, who has got power to make sure that everything goes according to order, and who violate orders, then faces the consequences. So here we get the political powers, but what is politics, we are going to see all that on in our discussions and the presentation that, of course, Aristotle said every human being is a social being. And there's another one who said every human being is a political being. So there is no one, and everybody is an economical being, everybody is a medical being, because you could know how to treat himself without even going to see the doctor. So we are everything. So to understand that, how to manage this, then we deal with the issue of power and authority. So basically, those are the 5 basic social institutions which ensure that the society continue existing and continue to exist. And where it has got problems, then there is a means of adaptation to make that exist if there is any problem in the cause of existence. Another subject matter of sociology is the social actions. And here we invoke Max Weber. Max Weber, who is German sociologist, worked on the social actions. Social actions are actually done by individual for others. It's action done by an individual, mostly intended to benefit others rather than the individual who is doing those actions. So this is very interesting, how an individual does an action which is intended for other people. And that interest, that questions, gives the sociologist a very interesting a desire to try to understand how individual does things which benefit not only him, but largely is intended for other individuals. And here I've got issues like community services, issues like neighboring in the neighborhood. We call it in Tanzania policy jamii, the what and the what. This is not benefiting only the individual who does it, but it does it for the benefit of others. And this develops a very interesting to sociologists to try to understand it. How can that happen? So it's a corrective, and it also covers the corrective actions of individuals. How different individuals come together and correctively embark on a certain action. Let's say, like we got things when it happen when there's a burial. In Tanzania, we've got a very common issues like the wedding, how people comes together, contribute for benefit of someone who wants to get married to another person. So those things are of much interest to sociologists, and they really wanted to understand it and know how it happened, and how it benefited other individuals. Having seen that, then we go to another very interesting subject matter of sociology. This is social facts. Social facts. And when we say of social facts, we also evoke Emile Durkheim. Emile, this is a French sociologist. He started social facts. And Emile defined social facts as things which are created by individuals and exist out of the individual who created them, and eventually control or have powers on those individuals who created it. This is very interesting. That social facts are things that are created by individuals. And once they are created, they exist outside of the individual who created them. And not only that, but they end up controlling the individual who created those social facts. Let's say we've got the marriage, the social facts, which was created by individual, the first one, the marriage. Once you are in a marriage, then you lose your control. Then there are things that you don't have to do anymore because of the things you have created in a marriage. You cannot go out, you cannot go out without saying what and what. So you become controlled by him. But that is an institution. Like say we've got the rules, norms, regulations. In our modern society, we've got laws, regulations, and orders. Those all are created by individuals. But at the end of the day, they end up controlling the individual, including the individual who created them. We build, we can say, okay, prisons were built and constructed by individuals. But they want for individuals to be imprisoned in those prisons. But had they known, they would have not created those or constructed those prisons. But we need them. Once we construct them, then they exist outside of the individual who constructed or create them. At the end of the day, they control them. But another very interesting aspect here in the issue of social fact, maybe the biggest social facts now, outside of the marriage and the laws and the norms and whatever that we create, is this the nationalism, the nations, the states that we have created. We've got Tanzania now, which now define, if you want to be a Tanzanian, you have to be born in Tanzania. You've got a birth certificate. You have to then it controls you. You want to get outside, you cannot get outside because you are Tanzanian. It controls how do you behave as a Tanzanians or whatever. So these states that we have created here, once it was free, the world was free, but now there is a boundary which defines a nation from another nation, and there are rules and regulations which differentiate a nationality between one nationality and another. It creates nationalism. It creates all the things that we see today, and this gives the sociologist a very interesting subject matter to start. Then we have got the common one, social problems. Sociology that we know today rose from the ashes created by the problems of the great transformation which transpired in the society. The Industrial Revolution created the problem. The urbanization created the problems. The intermigrations created problems. So at the end of the day, that gave the rise of the sociology that we know today. So sociology and the social problems are hand in glove. We cannot separate sociology from social problems. So social problem is a very interesting subject matter, object for sociologists to study. And so what is a social problem? A social problem is something which exists and it affects a lot of people, and the people acknowledge it, that it affects them. Then it requires a solution which has been very elusive to find. So those things create social problems. And because of that, a social problem will, let's say, in America now we've got the issue of migrations from the South America to the US. But it's not necessarily a problem in Tanzania. Maasais moves across the border. They move from Kenya, they've got bombers in Kenya, they've got bombers in Tanzania, they've got bombers in Kenya. They don't care, they just cross it. The same to Makonde, the same to people at the border in Rwanda and Burundi and Tanzania. So immigration is not an issue. Racism is not an issue. It's not a problem in Tanzania. So it depends on what is a problem and what is not a problem. But there are problems in the society depending on how you define them. But whatever the case, those are issues to be studied by. So the problem we have could be, then we've got this pathology, which is sound like a medical thing, but in sociology we've got the pathology that we see what's actually affecting the society. The viruses which make the society very uneasy, very not normal. So issues like poverty, unemployment, crime, prostitution, social disorder, you mentioned them. So those are some of it, but it depends. An issue could be a problem in Tanzania, it could be a problem in Africa, but it could not be a problem in Europe. Whatever the case, sociology have to study. They have to study it. So those are the subject matter of sociology. So then comes a very interesting question. What is the scope of sociology? How far should sociology go, and where should sociology not go? The answer is simple. Wherever there is a human being, that's where sociology thrives. That's where sociology should go. Wherever there is interaction, wherever there are social groups, wherever there are social problems, where there are social stratifications, where there are social process, where there are social facts, sociology is required, needed to go, and needed to go and understand it and learn it. So it's very easy. If you ask me a question, what the scope of sociology, which means how far sociology should go, sociology should go everywhere. And that's why in sociology, we have now sociology of everything. Sociology of environment, sociology of politics, sociology of law, the sociology of economics, sociology of natural resources, sociology of education, sociology of rural sociology, urban sociology, welfare sociology, you name it. So there is no limit. The scope of sociology, the limit is the sky. But now in the course where we are heading, we might even get interested to study all those issues. So, with that having said, thank you, and please, I ask you again to like, subscribe, and share our presentation. Thank you very much.